Again, Lin Feng shouted. Hand in hand, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, gazing at the sky. Looking at the stars 1, 2, 3, 4, connecting into a line. Back to back, silently making a wish. If the distant star can hear it, it will surely come true. As the song finished, thunderous applause and cheers erupted from below the stage. Lin Feng then stepped down to congratulate the bride and groom on their wedding, picked up a wine glass, clinked it with them, and left the wedding venue. Alright, that concludes all the content for today's meeting. Does anyone present have anything further to add or clarify? In the spacious and bright conference room, the atmosphere was solemn and serious. Department heads and branch managers of the group sat upright, their gazes fixed on Ye Xiaoyu, who was seated at the head of the table. Ye Xiaoyu sat quietly to the side, her pen moving incessantly, quickly and accurately recording every key point and data. Despite her usual boisterous and informal demeanor, once she immersed herself in work, she transformed, becoming focused and serious. It was precisely because of this that she was able to stand out in just 1 year, not only serving as Ye Xiaoyu's assistant, but also taking on multiple roles, such as secretary and driver. It should be known that unless they genuinely possessed ability, Ye Xiaoyu prohibited members of the Ye family from working at the Ye group. Just then, a faint cell phone ringtone broke the brief silence. The sound came from Sun Fei, the middle-aged man seated to Ye Xiaoyu's left. He apologized to Ye Xiaoyu with an apologetic look, and after receiving permission, he quickly pulled out his phone to check it. Mr. Sun Fei was the director of the catering department at the Ye group, and those familiar with him knew he had always been known for his decisive and efficient style. Receiving a message at this moment, it must be something of great importance. He opened his phone, glanced at it, and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Director Sun, is there some good news? Why are you so happy? The brand department director next to him asked curiously, staring at Sun Fei. Sun Fei's lips curved slightly upward, forming a mysterious smile, and he softly replied, "Don't be impatient, you'll know soon enough." With that, he slowly stood up, turning his gaze to Ye Xiaoyu, still wearing that faint smile, and gently said, "Director Yi, and all colleagues present, the manager of one of our hotels in the Magic City just sent me a video that I think is very necessary to share with everyone." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but exchange glances, secretly wondering what kind of video could make Director Sun so overjoyed. At this moment, they heard Sun Fei raise his voice and shout, "Director Yi?" Ye Xiaoyu, seated at the head, looked up at the sound, smiled and nodded, responding, "In that case, project the video. Let's all see what interesting content it is." Upon receiving Director Yi's permission, Sun Fei quickly replied, "Okay, Director Yi." Immediately after, he swiftly pulled out his phone, skillfully operated it, projected the video from his phone onto the large screen, and gently clicked the play button. In an instant, the previously somewhat noisy conference room fell silent, and as the video began to play, everyone's eyes simultaneously focused on Ye Xiaoyu. Because the video was none other than the song Lin Feng had just sung to a newlywed couple at the hotel, this was why everyone was looking at Ye Xiaoyu. "To be honest, he sings quite well," Ye Xiaoyu said, feeling a little embarrassed under everyone's gaze. "Director Sun, I don't understand what you mean by playing this video," Ye Xiaoyu asked Sun Fei after the video finished playing. "Director Yi, everyone, this video was taken this afternoon. At that time, Director Yi's husband went to one of our hotels for a meal. He happened to encounter a newlywed couple getting married, and the background music was his song. So our Mr. Lin Feng wanted to send his blessings to this couple, and this video was taken by a guest attending the wedding. Currently this video has already garnered hundreds of thousands of views on Kuwashu, Po Station, and other short video platforms in less than an hour. It seems Director Yi's husband's popularity is no joke," someone whispered. "Director Sun, I still don't see what this has to do with our current meeting," another person asked Sun Fei at this moment. "Director Yi, I wonder if you've figured it out." Sun Fei ignored the person and instead looked at Ye Xiaoyu, asking softly. "President Yi, others might not know my thoughts, but you, President Yi, certainly do." This moment, Sun Fei stared intently at Ye Xiaoyu and asked in a gentle tone. "President Sun, what you said is a bit ambiguous. Our President Yi is married," someone on the side said with a smile. Ye Xiaoyu nodded slightly in agreement, then calmly took out her phone from her bag, skillfully opened the Kuwashu app, and quickly searched for the video that had caused such a stir. The data on the screen showed that the video's highest viewership had already approached an astonishing 1 million views. Ye Xiaoyu looked up at Sun Fei and slowly said, "President Sun, do you mean to take this opportunity to have all the hotels under our catering department collaborate with Lin Feng to hold an event?" Hearing this, Sun Fei's face broke into a smile. He quickly stood up, his gaze sweeping over the others present as he slowly walked towards them. When he reached the front of the crowd, he stopped and lowered his voice slightly, saying, "Brothers and sisters, I believe everyone here knows. Our Ye Group is vast, with many different departments and business segments. However, if we're talking about the most crucial and most profitable among them, it is undoubtedly our catering department. You should know that approximately 40% of the Ye Group's annual operating income is contributed by our catering department." At this point, Sun Fei paused for a moment, his sharp gaze slowly sweeping over everyone in the room, before he unhurriedly continued, "Indeed, the catering industry has always been one of the fastest-earning sectors. However, precisely because of its generous profits, the competition within this industry is incredibly fierce." At this moment, Ye Xiaoyu, who had been quietly listening on the side, nodded slightly in agreement with Sun Fei's point, and then interjected, "President Sun is absolutely right. Xiao Tong, please pull up all the detailed information about the catering industry in the market last year for me." Upon hearing the instruction, Ye Xiao Tong quickly nodded and responded, "Okay, President Yi." She skillfully operated the computer in front of her, her fingers typing rapidly on the keyboard. Before long, a revenue report for the Ye Group's catering business last year and its market share data were clearly displayed on the large screen. "Please look, everyone, our Ye Group's Four Seasons Hotel has always been favored by consumers for its affordable prices and attentive service. Therefore, over the past year, our Ye Group's Four Seasons Hotel's market share was as high as 47.65%, almost occupying half of the entire Chinese catering market. However," Ye Xiaoyu said, pointing with her laser pointer to another set of data on the screen, "everyone can also notice that a hotel named Wangmi Hotel has a very eye-catching performance. Just last year, this Wangmi Hotel's market share in the Chinese market reached an impressive 19.23%. Although this Wangmi Hotel's market share is not even half the size of our Four Seasons Hotel, it is worth noting that in previous reports, we had never heard of its existence. Therefore, it can be inferred that this Wangmi Hotel is very likely to become a formidable hidden competitor for our Ye Group." Finally, Ye Xiaoyu expressed her opinion. "President Yi's view is entirely correct." After Ye Xiaoyu finished speaking, Sun Fei once again took over her words and continued to elaborate. "Since we have already regarded it as a competitor, we naturally have to find ways to collect relevant intelligence information. After our in-depth investigation into the Wangmi Hotel, we found that although it is essentially a hotel, the themes set within it are incredibly diverse. Events such as birthday parties, weddings, and graduation banquets all have their unique themes. Let me give you an example. Typically, if it's a child's birthday party, the Wangmi Hotel will randomly invite some cartoon characters beloved by children to perform live. And if it's an elder's birthday banquet, a group of highly skilled opera actors will be specially invited to perform. Although these performance arrangements have a certain randomness, it is undeniable that this innovative initiative has greatly increased the Wangmi Hotel's market share. Therefore, as the saying goes, know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. For the excellent aspects of our competitors, we can also learn from them. For example, the wedding scene shown in that video just now, we can completely randomly invite some famous singers or actors to our Four Seasons hotels across the country to perform specifically for those lucky customers." Sun Fei said with a smile, "President Yi, do you think this method is feasible?" Ye Xiaoyu nodded slightly and responded softly, "If you choose to hold a wedding banquet at the Four Seasons Hotel, there is a certain probability that you can enjoy the generous treatment of celebrity singers, personally performing or sending blessings. In my opinion, this marketing method is good. And currently, Lin Feng's status in the hearts of many people is quite high. Perhaps one day in the future, when they enter the hall of marriage, Lin Feng will appear at their wedding like a heaven-sent surprise to offer sincere congratulations. This method is indeed excellent." Just then, Ye Xiaoyu nodded slightly in agreement, then she elegantly stood up, a faint smile on her lips, and softly said, "This way, to some extent, it can attract more customers to our hotel, and at the same time, it can also serve as a very good promotion for our hotel. It's simply killing two birds with one stone, a win-win situation. After a brief thought, Ye Xiaoyu stood up again, turned her gaze to Sun Fei, and methodically instructed, "How about this? Your catering department and sales department should quickly formulate a detailed and feasible plan. In 3 days, gather all the hotel managers at the headquarters for a meeting to discuss the specific details. Is that okay?" Sun Fei quickly responded, "No problem at all, President Yi. However, regarding Mr. Lin Feng, how do you think we should arrange that?" Ye Xiaoyu smiled confidently and replied, "Don't worry, I'll personally communicate and coordinate with Lin Feng. Not only Lin Feng, but also Wang Xinyu, Deng Zifeng, and those other relevant personnel, like Kai Baba, and even Luo Jixing and Kai Yiling. I think it's necessary to involve them all. Everyone should contribute their ideas." After saying this, Ye Xiaoyu's face was still beaming with a confident and friendly smile, and then she gently waved her hand, signaling the end of the meeting. "All right, that's all for today, meeting adjourned." "Xiao Tong, are there any other meetings scheduled for this afternoon?" Ye Xiaoyu asked casually as she tidied the documents in her hand, while Ye Xiao Tong followed her into the office. Having just finished a long and intense meeting, Ye Xiaoyu slumped lazily into her office chair after organizing her documents. How could she be so tired right after the new year? Hearing this, Ye Xiao Tong quickly opened her portable notebook and flipped through it. After a moment, she looked up at Ye Xiaoyu and replied, "There's an important conference call this afternoon. The topic is about some sales matters for our company." Upon hearing this, Ye Xiaoyu frowned slightly, pondered for a moment, then decisively instructed, "In that case, contact Director Zhu of the sales department immediately and ask him to preside over this conference call." After saying this, Ye Xiaoyu slightly turned her chair to face the window, seemingly wanting to enjoy the scenery outside to relieve the stress of work. "All right, I'll call Director Zhu to inform him right away." Ye Xiaotong picked up her phone without hesitation and quickly dialed Director Zhu's number. She conveyed the relevant information to Director Zhu concisely and without any delay. Not long after, Ye Xiaotong successfully ended her call with Director Zhu. She gently put down her phone, turned to Ye Xiaoyu, and said with a smile, "I've already communicated with Director Zhu, don't worry. Director Zhu has half an hour after 2 p.m. to preside over this afternoon's conference call. Moreover, this conference call will be fully recorded and will be sent to your email first thing tomorrow morning." Hearing this news, Ye Xiaoyu nodded in satisfaction, then began to put the organized documents into her drawer. Afterward, she skillfully placed her work phone into the drawer and carefully locked it with a key. Once everything was tidied up, Ye Xiaoyu stood up, stretched lazily, and suggested to Ye Xiaotang with a relaxed expression, "Since my work for the afternoon is all arranged and there's nothing else important to do, how about we go shopping at the mall together?" This was a habit Ye Xiaoyu had always maintained. Although it might seem a bit casual, even a little unprofessional now, her relentless work ethic in the past was truly astonishing. Otherwise, how could that initially inconspicuous and small company have gradually grown and developed under her leadership, eventually becoming the large group it is today? However, even the former Ye Xiaoyu, who was decisive and efficient in the workplace, had her own unique personal habits. No matter how busy or stressful her work was that day, once her entire day's tasks were completed, Ye Xiaoyu would unhesitatingly place her work phone gently into her office drawer, and from then on, pay no attention to any company matters. It was for this reason that many times when certain directors urgently needed to contact Ye Xiaoyu but couldn't reach her, they had no choice but to contact Ye Xiaotong and ask her to help get in touch with Ye Xiaoyu. After all, only Ye Xiaotong knew Director Yi's private phone number. "Isn't that bad? You're just leaving, but I'm still on duty," Ye Xiaotong hesitated. "Buy whatever you want, it's my treat," Ye Xiaoyu continued. "I was just waiting for you to say that, sister." Hearing Ye Xiaoyu say this, Xiaotong immediately perked up. "Sister, wait for me for 5 minutes. I'm going to change." Saying this, Xiaotong vanished like a wisp of smoke, and Ye Xiaoyu didn't even notice when she left her office. Not long after, in the bustling and vibrant metropolis of Madu, the largest shopping mall suddenly saw 2 beautiful and charming figures appear. They were like 2 dazzling pearls, attracting the gaze of those around them. The elder of the 2 sisters was named Ye Xiaoyu. She was decisive and efficient in her work, but surprisingly, judging from her attire and appearance, she showed no hint of that sharp and capable demeanor. Her long, smooth, and lustrous hair cascaded naturally to her waist, gently swaying and exuding a fresh and lovely aura. If not for those familiar with her, it would be difficult to associate this gentle and beautiful woman with the powerful and influential career woman who commanded the workplace. In contrast, her younger sister, Ye Xiaoyu, gave a completely different impression. Although her dressing style was similar to her sister's, she exuded a powerful aura. Her originally flowing long hair was meticulously permed into fashionable and sexy large waves, swaying lightly with her steps, drawing attention like dancing flames. Her lips, painted with a vivid mang-killer lipstick, added a touch of alluring charm to her. Unknowing passers-by who saw Ye Xiaoyu like this would most likely mistake her for the one in charge, the true boss. In Xiaoyu's words, no choice, I'm born with a queenly look. Brother-in-law, you really don't know. Just this year, our third uncle was dead set on introducing a few boyfriends to Sister Xiaoyu, and kept urging Sister Xiaoyu to go on blind dates and such. What do you guess happened? The moment those men saw Sister Xiaoyu in person, they were immediately stunned by her powerful queenly aura. They were all so scared their legs went soft. One of them even wet his pants on the spot. Oh my, everyone found this absolutely hilarious. This was a funny anecdote about Xiaoyu that Xiao Fan told Lin Feng a few days ago. The two of them were wandering around the mall. Women, are truly unique and magical creatures. When you suggest taking her for a walk or a hike, often less than half an hour in, she'll already start whining about being tired. Her pitiful look makes it seem as if this short half-hour journey is as difficult as crossing mountains and valleys for her. However, once you take her to the mall, the situation is completely different. At that time, they are incredibly excited as if they've had a shot of adrenaline, with astonishing energy. 2 or 3 hours. That's just to warm up. They can effortlessly navigate through various shops in the mall, tirelessly looking around, fully enjoying the pleasure and satisfaction that shopping brings. And so, because they had a meeting, the two had to quickly find a place to grab a simple meal to fill their stomachs. Afterward, they eagerly plunged into the colorful world of the mall. They stopped at fashion clothing counters, critiquing beautiful clothes. Then their eyes were drawn to exquisite jewelry, making them linger. Walking and stopping like this, touching one item here, trying on a new product there, before they knew it, their hands were filled with bags of all sizes. Finally, despite being laden with purchases, their inherent love for beauty still drove them into a beauty salon, where they comfortably enjoyed a Chinese letter spa to relax and treat themselves. Seeing their contented and blissful expressions, one can't help but sigh. Indeed, for women, shopping is the activity that best unleashes their potential. Wow, this feels so good. I feel like I'm floating on clouds, my entire body completely relaxed and soothed. Honestly, it's been such a long time since I've felt this comfortable. Ye Xiaoyu murmured lazily as she lay on the soft, comfortable bed. Normally, she was always busy, spinning like a top, with no time at all to come here for a spa. In the past, she could only squeeze out a tiny bit of precious time around Chinese New Year to come and get some proper rest. However, things were different this year, as she had to accompany Lin Feng back to his hometown for the new year, naturally making it impossible for her to come and enjoy this rare leisure and tranquility. Ye Xiaoyu happened to be coming to this mall to sell things this afternoon, which was why she had the time to come and enjoy this. After about half an hour, Ye Xiaoyu lazily turned her head and softly asked Ye Xiaoyu, who was also resting with her eyes closed beside her, "My dear Xiaoyu, could you tell me what time it is, please?" Her voice was incredibly pleasant. Honestly, any man who heard it would surely get hard. Hearing her sister's question, Ye Xiaoyu slowly opened her eyes, raised her hand to glance at the watch on her wrist, and then replied in a gentle voice, "Sister, don't rush, it's still quite early, it's just past 4 o'clock. "What? It's already 4 o'clock? Ye Xiaoyu, who had been looking leisurely, instantly sat up in surprise, staring at Ye Xiaoyu with wide, disbelieving eyes, her face full of astonishment. Immediately after, without another word, she reached out, pulled Ye Xiaoyu and prepared to leave. "Oh my dear sister, we've only just started resting, why are you in such a hurry to leave?" Although extremely reluctant, Ye Xiaoyu didn't dare to defy her sister's wishes, so she grumbled a few complaints under her breath while obediently following Ye Xiaoyu and starting to get dressed. There was nothing she could do. After all, her sister Ye Xiaoyu was paying this time. Hurry up, I still have things I haven't bought, Ye Xiaoyu mumbled to Ye Xiaotong with a hint of annoyance as she quickly dressed. After she finished getting dressed, the two paid the bill and then, laden with bags, hurried towards a women's intimate apparel store in the mall. As soon as they stepped into the store, a smiling sales assistant greeted them politely and asked, "Hello, ladies, how may I help you?" This lingerie store was renowned. Its brand was not only a household name domestically, but also enjoyed considerable fame worldwide. The price of any single piece of lingerie here was at least over 2,000 yuan, such a high price making it unattainable for ordinary consumers. Because of this, the salespeople in the store had also developed a pair of fiery golden eyes, each of them haughty and judgmental. After all, for them, encountering customers who only looked but didn't buy would undoubtedly seriously affect the store's business and waste their valuable working time. However, when their gaze fell upon Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong, a sense of awe surged within them, and they didn't dare to show even a trace of slackness. The reason was none other than the fact that the backpacks Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong were carrying were the famous LV brand. Not only that, these two backpacks were also limited edition models of the brand, their exorbitant prices astonishing, rumored to be worth 700,000 to 800,000 each. Upon closer inspection of these two beauties, from head to toe, every part of their attire was from a renowned brand. Whether it was their stylish and exquisite tops, well-tailored trousers, or the high heels on their feet, every item was a carefully selected top-tier brand. And all the large and small bags they were carrying at this moment were designer brands. It was estimated that without $1 million or so, it would be impossible to get them. Facing such luxurious customers, the 5 busy sales assistants in the store instantly seemed to be under a spell, simultaneously putting down their work and swarming forward like a tide. Each person's face was beaming with enthusiastic smiles, their eyes revealing eager anticipation, as if standing before them were not ordinary guests, but VIPs who could bring immense wealth and honor. "You all attend to other customers, you don't need to mind us. We'll just browse around ourselves for a bit first," Ye Xiaoyu said softly to the sales assistant with a smile. After speaking, she took Ye Xiaofan's hand, and the two began to look around curiously. At this moment, Ye Xiaotong, who was following behind, couldn't help but ask curiously, "Sister, why did you suddenly think of coming here to browse?" Ye Xiaoyu kept walking, her eyes still scanning the shelves, while she responded to her sister's question. "Oh, it's just because of my intimate wear. A lot of it, I've worn for a long time, and it's already old and worn out, so I thought I'd come and pick out some new ones to replace them. And even my pajamas, they're quite old too, and I don't like the style or color anymore. So, since I have time today, I'll get everything new." After saying this, she couldn't help but giggle. As they walked, Ye Xiaoyu suddenly stopped, turned to look at Ye Xiaotong, and with a hint of expectation in her eyes, asked, "Oh, by the way, little sister, do you want to buy anything to take back too? You might find something you like." Ye Xiaotong quickly shook her head, a sweet smile on her face as she replied, "Thanks for the offer, sister, but I don't need anything. I just bought a batch of new ones a few days ago, and I have enough at home now." "No, I mean, sister, why are you still buying such cartoonish pajamas?" Looking at the pajamas Ye Xiaoyu was holding, which had some flowers and plants on them, Ye Xiaotong couldn't stand it. She immediately went to Ye Xiaoyu's side and whispered, "Sister, you're not a young maiden anymore. You're a married woman now. Don't you feel awkward wearing these pajamas?" As she spoke, Ye Xiaotong took out a very sexy pair of pajamas from nearby and smiled softly at Ye Xiaoyu. "Sister, I think this one is good." "Isn't this too revealing?" Ye Xiaoyu's face immediately turned red. "What's wrong with revealing? Anyway, it's just you and brother-in-law at home. Only brother-in-law will see you wearing it," Ye Xiaotong said with a smile. "Sister, you have to trust me. Tonight after you shower, just lie on the bed wearing this, and brother-in-law might not make it through the night." Ye Xiaotong lightly held the black lace, hollowed-out nightgown, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. She dangled the garment in front of Ye Xiaoyu and said in a sweet voice, "Sister, look at this one. I genuinely think it's super pretty. Look at the exquisite lace patterns, and that subtly revealing hollow design, it's absolutely too sexy. Trust my judgment, big sister Tilda, if you wear this after your shower tonight and appear before brother-in-law, I guarantee you won't last the night." Upon hearing her sister's words, Ye Xiaoyu's face flushed slightly, and she chided her somewhat shyly. No, this one has too little fabric, doesn't it? I'm not used to wearing so little. As she spoke, she reached out, wanting to take the nightgown from Ye Xiaotong and put it away. However, Ye Xiaotong was quick-witted. She dodged her sister's outstretched hand with a flash of her body, then playfully whispered, "Salesperson." "Oh, coming, coming." The sales assistants who had been busy not far away had actually been paying attention to the sisters, Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong, all along. Now, hearing Ye Xiaotong's call, they all responded and quickly hurried towards where Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong were standing. "Ladies, is there anything you need assistance with?" One of the sales assistants, practically running, arrived beside Ye Xiaotong faster than the others. She bowed slightly, her face full of respectful smiles, and asked softly. Meanwhile, the other sales assistants, seeing their colleagues' quick actions and how she had gotten ahead of them, couldn't help but stomp their feet in frustration. However, the salesperson who successfully snagged the customer ignored them, instead turning to them with a smug look, a hint of undetectable pride in her eyes. Ye Xiaotong's expression remained unchanged as she calmly handed the exquisite nightgown to the salesperson in front of her. She then pointed to several other sexy nightgowns not far away and said in a calm tone, "Please wrap up this nightgown, and that one over there, as well as those two over there." After speaking, she carefully scrutinized the garments she had chosen, and only after confirming they were correct did she slowly withdraw her gaze. The salesperson nodded eagerly in response. All right. Please wait a moment, I'll package them up beautifully for you right away." At this moment, his heart was already blooming with joy, because these 4 nightgowns were all quite expensive. Together they would cost almost 10,000 yuan. Thinking of this, he seemed to already see a considerable commission waving at him. Thus, with a heart full of joy and anticipation, the salesperson deftly began to package the selected nightgowns for Ye Xiaotong one by one, carefully placing them on the sales counter. And this one, wrap them all up for us." When the salesperson came over to Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong chose a few more intimate garments for Ye Xiaoyu and asked him to package them up for final checkout. "I'm back." Time had quietly crept past 6 in the evening. Dusk gradually enveloped the earth, and the street lights began to glow. Ye Xiaoyu's clear and pleasant voice rang out at the doorway. The two of them were carrying large and small bags, which looked quite heavy, but their faces were beaming with joyful smiles. As soon as they entered the house, the sisters eagerly placed their belongings on the nearby table, and then let out a long sigh of relief. And at this very moment, Lin Feng had already returned home and begun preparing dinner. The sounds of pots, bowls, and ladles clinking, along with tantalizing aromas, wafted from the kitchen. When Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong stepped through the door, Lin Feng was still busy in the kitchen. Hearing the commotion, he poked his head out and smiled at the two who had just entered, saying, "You're back. Just a little while longer, and dinner will be ready." Ye Xiaotong's eyes lit up at his words. She quickly walked to the kitchen doorway, peered inside curiously, and asked, "Brother-in-law, what delicious dishes have you made for my sister today?" Lin Feng turned his head, looked gently at Ye Xiaotong, and replied with a smile, "Just some simple home-cooked meals, but I guarantee they'll make you happy and satisfied. Xiaotong, stay and eat dinner before you leave today." After saying this, he continued to focus on his cooking. "I don't want to." Ye Xiaotong refused immediately without any hesitation, not giving Lin Feng any face at all. "You two lovebirds are too sickeningly sweet when you eat. I can't stand it. Every time I barely eat a few bites of food, but I'm stuffed from eating your dog food." With that, Ye Xiaotong turned and left. "Sister, the sexy nightgown we bought today can finally be put to use." When she reached Ye Xiaoyu's side, Ye Xiaotong also lowered her head and smiled at Ye Xiaoyu. Ye Xiaoyu's face flushed slightly, wanting to retort something, but Ye Xiaotong didn't give Ye Xiaoyu any chance to argue, laughing loudly as she left. "What did Xiaotong say to you?" When Ye Xiaotong lowered her head to talk to Ye Xiaoyu, Lin Feng happened to come out of the kitchen and witnessed the scene, and Lin Feng saw that Ye Xiaoyu's face instantly turned red after hearing it. So he was very curious about what Ye Xiaotong had said to Ye Xiaoyu and asked. Ye Xiaoyu was momentarily speechless, her face turning even redder as she quickly waved her hands, saying, "Nothing. Oh, is dinner ready? Do we have my favorite tomato and egg today?" Seeing the bowls and chopsticks in Lin Feng's hand, Ye Xiaoyu quickly changed the subject. Isn't this tomato and egg in my hand? Lin Feng said with a smile. Oh, what girls say, you big man shouldn't ask. I'll go to the kitchen to see what other dishes there are. Saying that, Ye Xiaoyu quickly ran into the kitchen. Facing Lin Feng's curiosity, what could Ye Xiaoyu say? Should she tell Lin Feng that Ye Xiaoyu was teaching her how to seduce him? Lin Feng gently shook his head, a slight smile playing on his lips, then turned and walked towards the rice cooker nearby. He skillfully picked up the inner pot of the rice cooker, opened the lid, and a puff of hot steam wafted out. He carefully used a spoon to scoop the fragrant rice into 2 rice bowls, only stopping when the bowls were piled high with rice, like small mountains, and he nodded in satisfaction. Ye Xiaoyu's appetite was no joke. Then, he carried the 2 full bowls of rice to the dining table, set them down gently, pulled out a chair, and sat down. Not long after, Ye Xiaoyu carefully emerged from the kitchen. Her hands were tightly cradling a large bowl full of hot soup. Because the soup was filled to the brim, she could only move slowly, afraid of spilling even a drop. That sight made one unable to help but laugh. Lin Feng suppressed his smile, secretly thinking to himself, "This girl fills the soup so full, isn't she afraid of spilling it and scalding herself?" Sure enough, just as Ye Xiaoyu managed to place the soup bowl on the dining table, she couldn't help but exclaim, "Wah wah wah, so hot, so hot." As she spoke, she quickly touched her ears with her hands, trying to alleviate the burning sensation. Looking at her cute yet somewhat disheveled appearance, Lin Feng finally couldn't help but laugh out loud, but quickly composed himself and gently told her, "All right, hurry up and sit down to eat." After speaking, he didn't forget to hand her a pair of chopsticks. "Oh, by the way, during a meeting today my subordinates showed me a really interesting video," Ye Xiaoyu said to Lin Feng indistinctly chewing her food. "And guess what, that video is actually related to you." After speaking, she swallowed the food in her mouth, raised her head, and looked directly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was slightly startled at first, then burst into a wry smile. He, of course, knew what video Ye Xiaoyu was referring to. The corners of his mouth turned up in a confident smile, and he responded unhurriedly, "Haha, then I wonder how I performed in this video. Was it not bad?" "I've noticed you're really getting more and more shameless," Ye Xiaoyu said with a laugh, then added with a hint of confusion, It was indeed quite good, but honestly, I'm really curious why you would do something like that. Was it for publicity?" Lin Feng still wore a faint smile on his face and replied casually, "Actually, it's nothing much. At the time, I just thought it would be interesting and fun. For me it was just a trivial matter, effortlessly done." However, such a small gesture can bring more joy and happiness to a newlywed couple on the most important day of their lives. Since that's the case, why shouldn't I do it? Why not seize the opportunity? As he spoke, he picked up the water glass in front of him and took a leisurely sip. There's something I want to talk to you about," Ye Xiaoyu said seriously to Lin Feng as she put down her chopsticks. "Oh, our Xiaoyu has really changed, talking about work during dinner." Lin Feng saw Ye Xiaoyu suddenly put down her chopsticks and quickly said with a smile. Ye Xiaoyu, hearing Lin Feng's words, quickly picked up her rice bowl again and poured all the tomato and egg into her bowl to mix with the rice. Let's forget about it for now. We can talk about it after we finish eating, no matter what. Actually, the situation is like this. Your unannounced appearance at a wedding held at our hotel today, where you performed a song and then offered your blessings, has now stirred up a sensation in the online world, with an incredibly high number of views. Seeing this, our hotel's catering department started to have some ideas. After enjoying their delicious meal, Ye Xiaoyu and Lin Feng sat comfortably on the soft sofa. Following this, Ye Xiaoyu began to narrate, explaining the proposal Sun Fei had put forward earlier that day to Lin Feng. Ye Xiaoyu lay in Lin Feng's arms, and Lin Feng, gently caressing Ye Xiaoyu, said in a light tone, "My dear, look, this idea is really good. It can not only elevate your hotel's reputation to the next level, but also leverage this opportunity to do some good promotional work, thereby attracting more guests to your hotel. As for this matter, I will definitely support you wholeheartedly without hesitation. However, regarding Zai Feng and her side, it would be best if you talked to Xiao Fan and gave her a heads up in advance. That would be more appropriate. After all, no matter how you look at it, Xiao Fan is Zai Feng and her boss." After saying this, Lin Feng also returned a gentle smile, indicating complete agreement with Ye Xiaoyu's opinion. "Husband, you're so good to me, I love you so much," Ye Xiaoyu said softly to Lin Feng as she flipped over and straddled him. How much do you love me? Lin Feng asked with a smile. It's the kind of so much love, Ye Xiaoyu thought for a moment and said. Lin Feng didn't speak at this moment, but kissed Ye Xiaoyu's lips, and the two were about to ignite a passionate fire on the sofa. When Lin Feng's hand reached inside Ye Xiaoyu's clothes, Ye Xiaoyu grabbed Lin Feng's hand and whispered, "Not here, I want to take a shower first." Okay, how about we shower together? That can save time, Lin Feng said, picking up Ye Xiaoyu and heading towards the bathroom. No, other things can be discussed. This cannot, Ye Xiaoyu said, kissing Lin Feng again, her eyes full of temptation, and she smiled at Lin Feng, saying, I've also prepared a little surprise for you, so you can't see it so quickly. With that, she got off Lin Feng and carried her bags upstairs. A little surprise? Lin Feng was a bit curious, and coupled with Xiaoyu's tempting gaze, just now, he became even more curious and rushed upstairs as well. Although they couldn't shower in the same bathroom, it didn't say they couldn't shower together. After all, there was more than one bathroom in the house. Ever since Ye Xiaoyu had given her all to Lin Feng back in her hometown, the two had truly lived together. But because Ye Xiaoyu had so many clothes, most of Lin Feng's clothes were still in his original room. Rushing to his room, grabbing his pajamas and a change of underwear, Lin Feng dashed into the bathroom and quickly finished his shower. According to statistics, girls generally take about half an hour to shower, while boys only need half a minute to get it done. Lin Feng, who had finished showering early, was now lying on the comfortable large bed with the air conditioning on, waiting for Ye Xiaoyu. After an unknown wait, the main light in the room suddenly turned off, while the bedside lamp lit up, and the room instantly became somewhat dim. At this moment, Ye Xiaoyu finished her shower and opened the door, her long hair draped to her waist, wearing a sexy nightgown, and looking at Lin Feng with tempting eyes. Lin Feng was completely stunned. It was his first time seeing such a sexy side of Ye Xiaoyu. Ye Xiaoyu walked towards him step by step, then slowly got onto the bed, sat on Lin Feng, and began to unbutton the top of Lin Feng's shirt one by one. This wasn't done with her hands, but with her mouth. This stimulated Lin Feng so much that he felt his little brother begin to swell uncontrollably. Ye Xiaoyu has really set up a bewitching array for me today, Lin Feng thought to himself, then suddenly hugged Ye Xiaoyu, flipped over and pinned her beneath him. Ye Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng with hazy eyes, which further stimulated Lin Feng. It seemed a major collision was inevitable today. Lin Feng was about to fiercely battle the bewitching array. Lin Feng was about to fiercely battle the bewitching array. No one knew how wild Ye Xiaoyu and Lin Feng were that night, but the pajamas and intimate apparel strewn across the room indicated the battle that night was likely quite intense. At 6:30 a.m., Lin Feng slowly woke up as his phone alarm rang. Lin Feng struggled to open his eyes, turned off the alarm and tried to get up, but Ye Xiaoyu was clinging to him like an octopus, making it impossible for him to move. Sleep with me for a little longer, Ye Xiaoyu mumbled, rubbing Lin Feng's neck with both hands. Lin Feng was a bit helpless and returned Ye Xiaoyu's embrace. All men should know what special reaction a man has when he wakes up in the morning, right? And so, another fierce battle ensued. Oh no, what time is it already? At 7:30 a.m., Ye Xiaoyu hurriedly got up to put on makeup and get dressed. After Ye Xiaotong's car arrived, Ye Xiaoyu rushed downstairs. Why the rush? Lin Feng asked with a smile at this moment. I have a meeting this morning, Ye Xiaoyu said while changing her shoes. Lin Feng took out a box and handed it to Ye Xiaoyu, saying with a smile, I steamed a few buns for you, and here's a bottle of water. Eat them on the way. Okay, thank you, hubby. Ye Xiaoyu took it, gave Lin Feng a quick kiss on his cheek, and then left the house. Ye Xiaotong's car was already waiting at the entrance. She greeted Lin Feng, and then drove Ye Xiaoyu away. I say sis, why are you so slow today? Today, Ye Xiaoyu left the house without even having time to fix her hair, just casually tying it into a braid, which still looked quite refreshing. Did you wake up a bit late? After getting into the car, Ye Xiaoyu opened the box, took out a bun, and offered it to Ye Xiaotong with a smile, saying, Want one? Your brother-in-law's mother made them. No thank you. I ate a full breakfast before coming. Ye Xiaotong shook her head, then a slight smile played on her lips as she teased, Sis, you and brother-in-law had quite a wild night yesterday, didn't you? Is that why you couldn't get up today? How could that be? You naughty girl, drive properly and stop thinking such dirty thoughts, Ye Xiaoyu said, quite displeased. She would never tell Ye Xiaotong what happened to her that morning. At the company, by the time Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaotong arrived at the conference room, everyone was already there, waiting only for them. At this moment, Ye Xiaoyu transformed back into that decisive female boss. She quickly walked to her seat, sat down, and said to everyone, "Sorry, I was late due to traffic. Since everyone is here now, let's start the meeting." Without any unnecessary words, Ye Xiaoyu immersed herself in her work. Ye Xiaotong also quickly found a seat and began recording the meeting's content. After the meeting, Ye Xiaoyu returned to her office, and Ye Xiaotong brought in another large pile of documents for Ye Xiaoyu to sign. Ye Xiaoyu had grown somewhat accustomed to this day in and day out, year after year routine. She was busy until past 5 p.m. before finally finishing the day's work. "Sis, are you done? If you're done, let's go." Ye Xiaotong had already tidied up the documents and asked Ye Xiaoyu, who was stretching in her chair. "Almost, just wait for me a moment," Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. "Xiaoyu, it's rare to get off work so early tonight. Do you have any plans?" Ye Xiaoyu asked while tidying up the documents on her desk. "Don't even mention it, sis. I have plans today, and I was tricked by my mom," Ye Xiaotong said, looking speechless and frustrated, unable to help but complain. Hearing Ye Xiaotong say this, Ye Xiaoyu couldn't help but ask curiously, "What happened exactly? Hurry and tell me." A hint of amusement appeared on her face, as if she already anticipated an interesting story. "I've noticed, sis, that you've become quite gossipy now too." Ye Xiaotong sighed helplessly and began to recount the events. "Oh, it's just that I accidentally let slip to Mom that I wouldn't be working overtime today. As a result, she immediately seized the opportunity and insisted on forcing me to go on a blind date. She kept praising how great the guy was, saying he's the heir to a major corporation, and he's even a hapa from 8 countries. 8 countries. Not only that, he reportedly speaks 13 foreign languages, is a full 187 cm tall, and is incredibly handsome." Ye Xiaoyu listened to Ye Xiaotong's description, finding it increasingly unbelievable, especially when she heard hapa from 8 countries. Her eyes widened in surprise, and she asked with a face full of doubt, "8 countries? How is that even possible?" Ye Xiaotong spread her hands, indicating that she too was full of questions about it. "Exactly. I was wondering how exactly one becomes a hapa from 8 countries. Could it be that his ancestors were all involved in international marriages? Anyway, I've racked my brain and still can't figure it out." "Well, I wish you a successful blind date then," Ye Xiaoyu said to Ye Xiaotong as they walked. "Hey Tilda, I'm naturally beautiful, why do I need a blind date? And 187 cm? I'll have to see if he's really 187 cm, and I'll also ask him how he became a hapa from 8 countries." Ye Xiaotong said, then looked at Ye Xiaoyu. "Never mind that, let me drive you home first, sis." "I'm not going home today. I've arranged to meet your brother-in-law at Spring Rain Hotel," Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. The Ye Group's main business is catering. As a giant in the domestic catering industry, its catering department has developed rapidly. The hotels managed by this department are spread like stars across the country. These hotels are not only numerous, but each one is unique. Their names are not monotonous, but are determined by their unique themes with diverse and poetic styles. Among the more famous ones are the Spring Rain Hotel, themed after spring, the Summer Lotus Hotel, themed after summer, the Autumn Wind Hotel, themed after autumn, and the Winter Frost Hotel, themed after winter, and so on. When she heard Ye Xiaoyu was going to the Spring Rain Hotel, Ye Xiaotong couldn't help but pause slightly, a look of surprise on her face. However, she quickly recovered, a playful smile appearing at the corner of her mouth as she teased, "Oh, Spring Rain Hotel? Why did you suddenly decide to go there? Could it be, are you planning a romantic date with brother-in-law?" After speaking, she winked at the other, looking as if she had seen through everything. "But why go to our own hotel for a date? Why not try another hotel? What are you thinking? Your brother-in-law and I can have a date at home," Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. "This time, I'm inviting Xiao Fan to dinner." What Tilda Ye Xiaotong's car, which had just started, abruptly stopped again. "You said you were inviting whom to dinner?" Ye Xiaotong turned around and asked Ye Xiaoyu. Xiao Fan, why? Ye Xiaoyu asked, a little confused. Sis, I remember the sun still rises from the east today, doesn't it? Ye Xiaotong said at this moment. What's wrong? Do I not even have the right to treat my own brother to a meal? Ye Xiaoyu looked at Ye Xiaotong with a puzzled expression, genuinely not understanding why she was smiling so strangely. In her opinion, inviting her brother to dinner was nothing more than a perfectly normal thing to do. It was something all older sisters in the world would do. Why would it surprise Ye Xiaotong so much, even making her say strange things like the sun rising from the west? After all, Xiao Fan had freeloaded off her for countless meals already. Several times, Xiao Fan would always arrive right at mealtime, then, smelling the food, be the first to run to the dining table, waiting to eat, and couldn't be chased away. So this time, her special invitation for her brother to dine with her was just a normal, everyday family gathering. All right, of course, it's only right for an older sister to treat her younger brother to a meal. But, Xiaoyu Jai, have you called Xiao Fan to tell him? Ye Xiaotong nodded and agreed with a smile, asking curiously. She was already eager to see Xiao Fan's reaction when he received his sister's invitation. Surely, his handsome face would show a mix of surprise and delight. What a pity, though, that her own mother had issued strict instructions, otherwise, with her love for excitement, she definitely wouldn't miss it. Ding, a ling tilde. Just as Ye Xiaotong was thinking this, her phone rang. She opened it to see a message from her mother, telling Ye Xiaotong the location of this blind date. However, when Ye Xiaotong opened the location, for a moment she didn't know whether to cry or laugh, because the location her mother sent was none other than Spring Rain Hotel. 66,666. When Ye Xiaoyu saw the location of Ye Xiaotong's blind date, she first froze, as if struck by a paralysis spell. However, after only a moment, a brilliant smile, like spring flowers, bloomed on her beautiful face. She never expected it. The place Ye Xiaotong chose for her date actually coincided with where she was having dinner. Could this be the so-called telepathic connection? Thinking about how Ye Xiaotong always found opportunities to tease and prank her these past few days, Ye Xiaoyu secretly felt a thrill. Hee, the tables have turned, and now it's finally my turn to shine. At this moment, Ye Xiaoyu was utterly triumphant. Her already brilliant smile became even more uninhibited and wild, as if she wanted to release all the joy in her heart through that smile. Finally, she could no longer suppress her inner excitement. She patted Ye Xiaotong's shoulder hard and deliberately said with an exaggerated tone, laughing, "Oh dear, my dear sister Xiaotong, you must seize this blind date well. Don't end it hastily and quickly like before. After I finish my meal, I'll bring your brother-in-law and Xiao Fan along to support you. Oh, and I really want to see with my own eyes what that legendary 8-country mixed blood person looks like. Ha 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 ha." "All right, you should call Xiao Fan first," Ye Xiaotong said speechlessly. She then restarted the car and left the basement, driving towards Spring Rain Hotel. Since she frequently went to Spring Rain Hotel, she didn't need navigation and drove directly there. Ye Xiaoyu sat in the back, took out her phone, and dialed a number. She wasn't calling Xiao Fan, of course, but Lin Feng, because Lin Feng had promised her he would handle inviting Xiao Fan earlier. "What? My sister is treating me to a meal?" In his office, Xiao Fan looked up at Lin Feng in surprise and asked. After getting Lin Feng's affirmative answer, Xiao Fan immediately went to the window, looked at the sun outside, and said, "The sun is setting in the west today. What's wrong with that female tyrant recently? She's actually inviting me to eat?" Lin Feng was speechless for a moment. "Isn't it just treating you to a meal? Why are you so surprised?" "Brother-in-law, you tell me this female demon head spends all day taking jabs at me as if it's her pastime. Would she be so kind as to treat me to a meal? It wouldn't be a trap, would it? Or has this female devil recently encountered something unpleasant and wants to find someone to vent her emotions on?" Xiao Fan racked his brain, but couldn't come up with a reason for Ye Xiaoyu to invite him to eat. "Yes, your older sister said yesterday she wanted to treat you to a meal. She has something to ask of you," Lin Feng said helplessly. Xiaoyu, I told you not to be so harsh on Xiao Fan before. See? Now the kid is scared. He even has psychological trauma. What kind of business could this female demon king, who calls the shots outside, possibly have? I just don't believe it." Xiao Fan immediately said, "Brother-in-law, honestly, I'm currently as arrogant as a big shot outside. My aura is so strong I even want to kick the dogs on the street. There's no road in the entire demon capital I haven't walked. But as soon as I see this female devil, I get a bit timid, my aura completely gone, isn't it? Female tyrant, female demon head, female devil, female demon king, female devil, Xiao Fan. Do you want to hear for yourself how many times you've changed the address for your sister in just a few short sentences? No wonder your sister doesn't like you. If she liked you with all those nicknames you gave her, it would be a ghost's chance. Lin Feng was speechless in his heart. Hey brother-in-law, I suddenly thought of something fun just now. At this moment, Xiao Fan seemed to have thought of something. He stood up and said to Lin Feng with a smile, if my sister is the female devil, then brother-in-law, wouldn't you be the legendary demon knight? Xiao Fan, repeat what you just said to me. Lin Feng didn't answer him, but Ye Xiaoyu's angry voice came through the phone. Damn it brother-in-law, you've tricked me again. Xiao Fan naturally knew whose voice it was and hurriedly said, sister, I wasn't talking about that, I was talking about that. That Xiao Fan was momentarily speechless. What's that? You little brat, I'm almost at Spring Rain Hotel now, you and your brother-in-law get over here immediately. If I don't see you in half an hour, I'll skin you alive. Saying that, Ye Xiaoyu hung up the phone. I tried to invite you nicely, but you wouldn't listen. Happy now? Let's go. Lin Feng glanced at Xiao Fan, waved his hand, and said with a smile. Brother-in-law, I haven't offended my sister these past few days, have I? At this moment, Lin Feng was focused on driving, while Ye Xiaofen sat in the passenger seat, his face full of panic and unease, his body rigid, as if he might jump up at any moment. During the short few minutes of the car ride, Ye Xiaofen's nervous heart was pounding like a frightened rabbit. His mind raced, trying to recall every single thing he had done and every word he had said recently. Those small details he had once ignored or forgotten now flashed continuously in his mind like movie scenes. I don't think I did anything wrong. Could it be that she found out about me secretly taking her lipstick to give to my college girlfriend? No, that was 3 or 4 years ago. Or is it because I accidentally ruined her favorite dress? That dress was already a little damaged, and that was also 4 or 5 years ago. Good heavens, Ye Xiaofen had recalled every single thing he had ever done to displease Ye Xiaoyu in his entire life. Just then, Lin Feng's lips curled into a faint smile, and he softly said, Didn't you just offend your sister? Upon hearing this, Ye Xiaofen's face instantly turned pale, and he slumped into his seat as if struck by lightning. However, before Ye Xiaofen could recover from his shock and fear, Lin Feng gently patted his shoulder and reassured him, Don't worry, your sister just wants to invite you to dinner, that's all. After all, it's quite normal for siblings to have dinner together, right? And who knows, perhaps your sister really has something important that she needs your clever little brother to help with. So relax a bit, don't be so jumpy. After speaking, Lin Feng smiled again and continued to drive attentively. Lin Feng, of course, knew why Ye Xiaoyu was inviting Ye Xiaofen to dinner. It was something Lin Feng had discussed with Ye Xiaoyu. But seeing Ye Xiaofen's anxious expression, Lin Feng's mischievous side emerged, so he decided not to tell Ye Xiaofen what was going on. This was truly tormenting for our little Ye Xiaofen. He treated Lin Feng as a dear brother-in-law, but Lin Feng treated him as a distant brother-in-law. Forget it, damn it. If the sky falls, it's just a big scar. The wind whistles, the river is cold, a brave man gone will never return. After Lin Feng parked the car, and he and Ye Xiaofen arrived at the entrance of the Spring Rain Hotel, Ye Xiaofen silently encouraged himself. Okay, I understand, private room 708, right? Xiao Fan and I are outside and will come in now. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he led Ye Xiaofen into the lobby. After asking a waiter for directions, they took the elevator to a private room on the 3rd floor. You're here. When they entered the private room, Ye Xiaoyu had already ordered the dishes. A hot pot was simmering in the middle. With the air conditioning on, Ye Xiaoyu had taken off her jacket and placed it aside. Upon seeing Lin Feng and Ye Xiaofen enter, she smiled broadly and said to both Ye Xiaofen and Lin Feng. She even stood up to welcome them, a gesture that greatly startled Ye Xiaofen. When he saw Ye Xiaoyu stand up, Ye Xiaofen instinctively almost grabbed his ears and knelt before her. Come Xiaofen, sit here next to me, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile to Ye Xiaofen, and as she spoke, she gently took Ye Xiaofen's hand and pulled him to sit beside her. During this time, Ye Xiaofen's hands were trembling. Ye Xiaoyu noticed this and even curiously asked Ye Xiaofen if he was a little cold and if he wanted the air conditioning to be turned up higher. Damn it, you female devil, are you truly stupid or are you pretending to be stupid for me? Don't you have any idea why I'm trembling right now? Ye Xiaoyu thought to himself, but he dared not say it aloud. Alright, now that everyone's here, let's start eating, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile, then picked up a piece of food with her chopsticks and placed it in Ye Xiaofan's bowl, smiling as she said, Xiaofan, I know you don't like spicy food, so this hot pot base is tomato flavored. It's a new hot pot set from our hotel, try it and give us some feedback. As Ye Xiaoyu spoke, she personally stood up and poured Ye Xiaofan a glass of red wine. The more Ye Xiaoyu acted this way, the more Ye Xiaofan's heart pounded with fear. He could tell from the smell that this tomato-flavored hot pot base must be excellent. And this red wine, oh my, a top-tier 1983 vintage, impossible to acquire without millions. Ye Xiaoyu liked to drink red wine. He didn't know if it was because she genuinely liked it or for show. Ye Xiaoyu even had a very large winery with countless fine wines, but no one dared to take them except Ye Xiaotong. Only during the new year would Ye Xiaoyu bring out 2 bottles for everyone to taste. Because Ye Xiaoyu wasn't home this new year, and Ye Xiaotong didn't like to drink, none of her good wines had been touched, and today, Ye Xiaoyu was uncharacteristically inviting him to dinner and even brought such a fine bottle of wine. Ye Xiaofan couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't something the female devil Ye Xiaoyu would do. Did this female devil put laxatives in the food? Ye Xiaofan thought to himself, but seeing Ye Xiaoyu eating with such relish, he dismissed the idea. Since there are no laxatives, then how does this female devil intend to deal with me? Ye Xiaofan was utterly baffled. Lin Feng also took off his jacket and sat down, saying to Ye Xiaoyu, Where's Xiao Tong? Didn't you say you came with her? Xiao Tong, well, it's like this. Ye Xiaoyu smiled and told Lin Feng about Xiao Tong's blind date today, and also informed him that Xiao Tong was having her blind date at this very hotel. Really? What a coincidence, Lin Feng said with a smile. You bet. Let's eat quickly, maybe we can still catch them. I want to see what that 8-country mixed blood looks like, Ye Xiaoyu said as she continued to put food into Ye Xiaofan's bowl. I can't take it anymore. Finally, Ye Xiaofan couldn't bear it any longer. He stood up, pointed his chopsticks at Ye Xiaoyu, and loudly declared, Ye Xiaoyu, what exactly do you want this time? If you want to kill or skin me, just say the word. Don't invite me to dinner and drinks. Just tell me what you want to do, don't play these games with me. Lin Feng and Ye Xiaoyu were happily eating and drinking, but Ye Xiaofan truly couldn't stand it anymore. He felt like he was sitting on pins and needles, and Ye Xiaoyu was still enthusiastically serving him food and pouring him wine. Such unusual behavior always indicated something sinister. What's wrong, Xiaofan? Why are you so agitated? Your sister is just inviting her brother to dinner. Are you overthinking it? Ye Xiaoyu didn't take Ye Xiaofan's outburst seriously. Instead, she smiled and put more food into his bowl. The next moment, Ye Xiaoyu's tone turned cold as she softly reprimanded, When you're eating, you should act like you're eating. Why are you standing up and pointing chopsticks at me? You've gone too far, sit down. Yes, ma'am. Following Ye Xiaoyu's scolding, Ye Xiaofan quickly sat down and put his chopsticks away. After being reprimanded by Ye Xiaoyu, Ye Xiaofan felt much better. He even had an appetite for food. So, how much does our Ye Xiaofan degrade himself? Alright, Xiaofan, stop being so dramatic. Your sister specially invited you to this meal today because she has something important she wants to discuss with you. Lin Feng looked at Ye Xiaofan's expression, finding it a bit unbearable, or perhaps a little sympathetic, so he tugged on Ye Xiaofan's clothes and quickly spoke, asking him, Xiaofan, do you remember the scene we saw yesterday at the Summer Lotus Hotel, when that newlywed couple was holding their wedding? Of course I remember that. When the new couple got married, brother-in-law, you crashed it uninvited, playing a little bear and even gave them a big surprise. Ye Xiaofan nodded without hesitation. He remembered what happened yesterday vividly. I have to admit, brother-in-law, your popularity is truly soaring these days. Just that one video even made it onto the trending video list. Exactly, that's the matter. Lin Feng nodded slightly, agreeing with what Ye Xiaofan said. Then he continued to elaborate. Xiaoyu thinks this kind of event is quite good. Not only can it successfully attract many customers, but it can also enhance the hotel's reputation. So, your sister was thinking. After Lin Feng succinctly explained Xiaoyu's general idea to Ye Xiaofan, he finally asked, I wonder if this method will work. I think it's absolutely no problem. This method is simply too good, isn't it? It can bring more popularity to my sister's hotel, help Lin Feng and the others improve their favorability among passers-by, and also make our loyal fans happy. This is truly a beautiful thing that kills multiple birds with one stone.